This is the second to last episode of the chronological run of the Geekdom101 podcast, the original one from, I think I started 2018 to 2020. I just am archiving these because they're really important to me and maybe a new audience can check them out. So with episode 51, it's very, very similar in a way. I mean, it's literally a sequel to episode 48, which is discussing music again with rapper MC HEADCASE. He's back, and we're going to be discussing Eminem's album Recovery 10 years later. The first time we talked about one of his albums, it was Marshall Mathers LP from 2000. Now we're looking at 2010's Recovery, where he really became a better person, Eminem that is, after getting off of his personal problems with drugs and things like that. But the question is, like, does this album still hold up? Is it too much of a pop record? There's so much good stuff in here. I get very emotional on one part of this discussion, but if you like Eminem, if you like hip hop, you're going to love this episode. MC HEADCASE, check out Lunatic Fringe, a self-portrait that is his album. Google it, you'll find it. MC HEADCASE is his name. Let's go ahead and get to it. Original air date November 20th, 2020. All right, I'm being joined by MC HEADCASE once again. HEADCASE was here just a few weeks ago to discuss Eminem's 20-year-old Marshall Mathers LP, but now we're going to go back 10 years into the future from Marshall Mathers LP and 10 years to the past of 2020, 2010's Recovery album. And boy, things really changed for this guy. And hell, not just for him, for all of music. So, first of all, HEADCASE, how are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm hanging in there, working, trying not to drop dead from coronavirus.
Well, hopefully that won't happen, bro. You're not sick, are you?
I have a cold, but I'm pretty sure it's not coronavirus. I did a test a couple of days ago. I'm waiting on the results now. I'm pretty sure it's not COVID because
are you having trouble breathing and shit like that?
No, but I have a runny nose and I've been coughing. Those are just like regular cold symptoms, but they're so similar. If it got to the point where I couldn't taste food, then I'd be worried.
That would be a very big problem, yeah, especially for you and for me, because I love food. It is flu season, so there's going to be I think we're going to see a lot of false positives. People are going to be thinking they have COVID, which is a regular flu, you know what I mean? I think that's going to be going around a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Now, okay, so before we talk about Recovery, I mean, the whole reason why the album's called Recovery, it was supposed to be called Relapse 2, is because this was Eminem kind of going back to form. What a lot of people don't know or don't remember is that after Encore, which was a piece of shit, this guy Eminem had a literal meltdown. Like, he really had a legitimate real life drug problem, to where I remember distinctly reading an interview where he said that he forgot to rap. He forgot how to rap. That's mind blowing.
That is true. That was in Rolling Stone. When Recovery came out, he admitted he basically had to relearn how to write, that there were basically holes in his brain from all the drugs he did. And yeah, he went through a shitload of stuff before he OD'd. He's fucking he remarried Kim and then got divorced a couple months later. Proof got killed. So he was like on the down slope. He really was.
He vanished for 5 years. I remember when I'm Gone came out with that greatest hits he put out or whatever. And When I'm Gone was supposed to be a message to his daughter, Haley, but it really did feel like he was going to retire from music at that point. I mean, it felt like he was saying, I'm leaving music. And he did for 5 years, which might not seem like a long time, but it was a long time. We heard nothing from Eminem for years, man. Maybe a couple of mixtape and some guest appearances here and there. But it wasn't until Relapse came out where it was his return to form. But Relapse was pretty much like a drug album. I mean, Relapse was like Eminem, like drug ballad throughout the entire record. And I gotta say about Relapse is, it's not that bad, but it ain't that good either. It has a couple of really, really good songs on there. I would go so far as to call them classics. But a lot of it just felt Like he even says it on Recovery, how he says, I ran those accents into the ground. I mean, he overdid it with the accents, and he was trying too hard to be wacky like he was on his first LP, but it didn't really work for Relapse, man. I think people were just not really into it at the time. What are your memories of Relapse between back then and now?
I was very torn on Relapse when I first heard it, because I remember, I think he was trying to go back to that original underground style, but I think he went way too far over, because instead of sounding like, a regular, he was doing like a bunch of he was really, really dark on there. You got songs like 3 a.m.
Yeah, about serial killing, bro.
Yeah, and
which pissed off fucking Haystack. I like how Haystack made that whole video about how much he hated that song, even though he's friends with the ICP, who do songs about mass murder makes me happy, dead bodies make me happy. What a fucking hypocrite that I never had any respect for for Haystack, bro. He's just a fucking hypocrite, bro. He came off like a big time clout chaser, bro. He was mad at Eminem because he was white and successful.
Pretty much, Haystack is yesterday's news. He's a actual registered sex offender. So
I didn't even know that. When did that go down?
Oh, that went down ages ago, apparently. Like well before the whole Eminem thing happened. And people started bringing it up. And I think I don't know if he's in jail now or he was in jail for a while.
I never knew that.
But yeah, like I was saying, I think the best way to describe Relapse is, the best comparison point for Relapse to me is Dare is a Dark Side by Redman. A lot of people look at that as Redman's best album, and Redman hates that album because he was on so much he was doing so many drugs during that period that he was he doesn't like going back and listening to that music because of he was at a bad time in his life. And I think Eminem was in the same way. I mean, sure, he had recovered from his OD, but he was trying to find a foothold back into the mainstream music scene. But, he relied on a bunch of different, when he wasn't doing the serial killer songs, he was relying on old formulas like We Made You, fucking Distant Pop Stars, the same old skits like the Steve Berman skit, the Ken Kniff skit, so he's, but like you said, there are a few really, really good songs on there. Deja Vu is probably like top 5.
Beautiful.
Maybe Beautiful's really good too. Yes. Trying to think if there's any other.
Well, there's a few. The thing about Relapse is, it felt like he was trying to go back. It felt like he didn't evolve. And I remember criticizing him because we were all writing music reviews at the time, because he didn't really evolve his style. And I think people want him to become more of a traditional hip-hop artist, but he can never really be that. He's not really going to be able to do that yes, yes, y'all shit. I mean, the closest he came was Infinite, and that was when he was very young. But I feel like with Relapse, he tried to go back to Slim Shady LP era. It just didn't work. And then with Recovery, it was like, it was an actual evolution of his style, but he didn't become a yes, yes, y'all type of underground rapper. He instead went closer to having a more pop sound, but yet at the same time, the thing that I think is Recovery's strongest suit, in my opinion, is that it might have the best collection of actual songs of Eminem's career, as far as, like, you have amazing, musical choruses. You have a very diverse type of beats. I mean, very diverse. And you've got subject matter that Eminem, some of it is new territory for Eminem. Some of it is stuff that he's touched on before, but a much more honest and adult look. So I feel like Recovery was kind of like Eminem growing up. And we've kind of seen that Eminem after that. But I feel like Recovery was really like the closest we ever got to him actually becoming an adult, if we're being real here.
I agree. There was but before we get to that, I'll say, like you said, there was originally supposed to be a Relapse and then a Relapse 2.
Right. That was supposed to have bonus songs, right?
They alluded to that on the original Relapse album and the Steve Berman skits. When he's giving him the album, he's like, "What's this shit? 2 CDs?" I was like, "What I've been trying to tell you, it's 2 albums." So everyone was, and when people didn't like Relapse, people were, oh, well, there's going to be more of it. So, but Eminem completely did a 180. I think it was because of the bad reception to Relapse.
Well,
I think
also
that,
he also put out Relapse Refill, which had extra songs on there as well.
yeah, it had some extra songs as well. The Forever joint with Drake, Lil Wayne, and Kanye was thrown on there.
That was a big song at the time, very big.
Oh yeah, but I think it's very interesting, and some of those, there are some Relapse 2 songs that have leaked. Some of them are just like, same old serial killer shit, but there's at least one or two that are definitely worth hearing. If you've never heard the song Cocaine with Jasmine Sullivan, I think that would have fit right at home on Recovery, even though it was obviously made for Relapse too.
Right.
And there's another one, but I'll get into that later. But you're absolutely right. Recovery was completely new territory for him, to me, because, this was the first time he had done this, like completely switched up his sound. Like you said, there were no skits. There was no pop single for the radio. Well, there was no like Slim Shady esque.
Yeah,
single.
there was no like him insulting pop stars and him doing what he had done for so many years. The whole album has a totally different feel from any Eminem album that preceded it, because the entire record was sort of like a story of, he was trying to tell the story that he kind of felt of all the wrongdoings he had done in his life. It was almost like he was apologizing for the stuff he had rapped about, except he wasn't really apologizing for the lyrical content, but more so the real life stories that were driven from that. Obviously he didn't really kill his wife, but, he did have a lot of problems with his wife and his mom and all that. And this is a different Eminem. The album was, to me, Recovery is supposed to be very inspirational, especially, just the lead single, Not Afraid. It's a song where he pretty much tells people who go into dark places and need therapy, whether it be drug addiction or just depression, that you can get out of it, because he got out of it. And a lot of the record is like that. A lot of the record is him trying to inspire people. It's like a different guy, bro. Like when you listen to Eminem Show and MMLP and all that, and even Encore, and then you listen to this, it's like even Relapse. It's like a different person, man. It's mind-blowing.
It's very weird to go back and listen to Relapse and then immediately listen to Recovery right afterward. You would not believe they were made by the same guy. But
also, DJ Khalil did a lot of the beats for this record, bro. You would think it would just be another Dre and Eminem collab, but he brought in a lot of different people for this one as well. Just Blaze was on here. Dre did a couple beats here and there. Havoc did a beat on there. It's interesting.
Very much so. It's a different style from Relapse, which was entirely Dr. Dre except for Beautiful, which was an anomaly at that time, because the only time Dre had ever did that was for Snoop Dogg when he did Doggy Style. So Dre has never done a whole album for anybody else except those two people
and himself.
And
even then, you've got like Storch helping out and things like that.
Yeah, I don't really count himself as like that. I meant for other artists. But yeah.
It's interesting because a lot of people said that Eminem was very limited in his lyrical range, but yet Recovery is like the opposite of that. But it's like, but the thing about Recovery, bro, it's almost like a self-contained story. Like, it's like Recovery's like non-canon to everything else in Eminem's catalog. That's why I'm interested in talking to you about some of these songs.
Right. I definitely. So the record starts out rough to me.
Yeah, I agree. Cold Wind Blows was like it's not a bad song, but it just felt like he's kind of trying to get his feet wet a little bit.
It sounds like a Relapse leftover to me.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah,
he's he's bashing pop stars, or celebrities. He's using homophobic language, and some of the punchlines are just really, really bad. Like the first rap line of the album is, "You can get the dick, just call me the ball sack. I'm nuts."
That's like a very like elementary punchline, bro. Like the thing about this version of Eminem, it's weird. I feel like, okay, We should talk about this for a second. The older version of Eminem, and I mean like older as in like the 99, 2000, 2001 version, he had this way with words where he was really lyrical in the sense that he would put together words that aren't supposed to rhyme and make them rhyme. And he would go on these crazy rhyme schemes. I mean, listen to Lose Yourself or any of those songs, Criminal. He just was different. This version of Eminem, I feel like it's really, I'm very conflicted on this because like there are times where the post 2010 Eminem has really clever ways of rhyming things together, really clever ways. Then there are other times where he comes off very forced and very like eye rolling, and that went on even beyond this record, bro. Like there's times where I've heard this guy spit.
I'll get into that later when it goes beyond. But yeah, there were. I think someone had theorized to me before that he wanted to see what was hot in the game right now. What it was the Young Money style of the simple ass hashtag rap punchlines.
Yes.
Like
where you basically remove the word like.
Yeah, basically. The shit that Drake does and Big Sean and whatnot. And there are a lot of like really, like you said, there's a lot of really forced lines on here. I could probably pick out a few that are like, if I like a top 5 of the worst punchlines on this album. Right off the top of my head, I can already say from Won't Back Down, these cats ain't metaphorically where I'm at, man. I gave Bruce Wayne a Valium and said, settle your fucking ass down. I'm ready for combat, man. Get it? Combat, man. I'm like, that was terrible.
Yeah, it's like, it's clever to like a kid. You know what I mean? Like to a kid, it's clever, yeah.
Yeah.
And remember, by this time, this is when the internet started to really start to blow up with the battle rappers, and we started seeing guys like Thesaurus and Iron Solomon, and these guys really make a name for themselves online. So we were seeing these kind of ridiculous sort of punchlines that we had never really heard before, and you know, maybe from the Big L era, right? And Eminem's here doing stuff like that, which, you know. So what other punchlines from the album do you think are kind of cringe that come to your head?
Let me think. And as much as I like Not Afraid, there were a couple of lines in there as well. Like the fuck you for Christmas, his gift is a curse.
Yeah, I didn't like that one that much either, but I did like the whole raising the bar. I like that punchline.
That was dope. I like that. But I'm trying to think.
Well, I think.
Oh,
just,
I got one.
Yeah.
From Cinderella Man. My fillet is smoking weed. Yeah, the stakes are high.
Yeah, it's like a. Yeah, it's like it's like something that would make you laugh when you are high. You know what I mean?
And as bad as these lines are, I don't think they're as prevalent as they are on some of his later albums, like the Marshall Mathers LP2, and especially Revival. Oh my God, there were so many bad lines on Revival that.
And it's funny because older Eminem, like 99, 2000 Eminem, would never spit something like that, bro.
Yeah, he really wouldn't.
No, he wouldn't. Now let's talk about some of the songs here. So one of the points that Eminem makes on this record a lot is how much he has changed. You know, Going Through Changes is one song that comes to mind just based on the title alone, and then of course we've got Not Afraid, which is the big lead single. You know, I really like Not Afraid because the message that he's kind of giving to people is that, you know, he can get, again, like I mentioned earlier, you can get out of whatever struggle you're going through. You can survive going through a dark time. And, you know, it is an inspirational song, especially with that bridge, you know, I can't keep living this way. So starting today, I'm breaking out of this cage. That's a very well written song, bro. And it's one that,
I said I agree.
And the thing about this album, like we talked about earlier, it does have more of a pop sound. It's less of a hip-hop record and more of a pop record, even though he does rap all over it. You've got people like Rihanna and Pink and Lil Wayne and these pop stars that he would rarely ever work with. Maybe Wayne. But, you know, here they're all over the place. And what other song also comes to mind as far as... I mean, I feel like White Trash Party... It didn't age very well, honestly. I was never a huge fan of that song, and it didn't age very well. Right.
I think that if he were to release like a Slim Shady type single with a wacky music video like he would have done for like the Real Slim Shady, Without Me, or We Made You, it probably would have been for that song.
Right.
More than likely.
Right. No, I agree. And then we have songs like Talking to Myself, which, some of the introspection on the record is fantastic. I feel like looking back on this record now, I think it's a little bit too long also. It's pretty much, 17 songs. I think if they would have cut it down to maybe 14, it would have probably been a lot better. And I love this record. I mean, I gave it 5 stars when it first came out, and I probably would still give it that only because of how good the content and the subject matter is. But I also feel like it is a tad bit too long. There's some songs that don't even need to be here, bro.
Yeah, I think there are definitely some songs here you could cut. So Bad is one of them, I think. And it's sad to say that because that's literally the only Dre beat on the album, unless you count the iTunes one of the iTunes bonus tracks. But I'm not talking about that.
Right.
Yeah, it's literally the only version, only Dre beat on the album. And I would cut it because it just talking about bragging about his pimp game, But the thing, it's hard to even say that because there's some great rhyming on that,
Yeah.
Put a workout on your back, throw your spine out of alignment, mess you up so bad you couldn't pick Amy Winehouse out of a lineup or something like that. There's some really good there's some really good couplets on there.
Right.
Even though I think the song is unnecessary, but I'm trying to think if there's any others.
Well, I mean, even Cold Wind Blows, I think, could have been cut out of here, bro.
I think there's another song for Relapse too, or a Recovery leftover called "Fly Away" that I think would have made a better intro. Even though there's some bad lines on that too. It's a leaked song. If you ever look it up, Just Blaze. I think it's not finished obviously because it has an auto-tuned Just Blaze chorus. Like Just Blaze is singing the chorus and it's auto-tuned.
Right.
But so I think somebody else would have ended up doing the chorus in the end. But yeah, if y'all ever want to hear it, just look up Eminem "Fly Away."
How do you feel about Won't Back Down? Because the thing about Won't Back Down is I really do like this song. It's a very different song. Like this is a very different, it has a very unique sound. I mean, it was part of the Call of Duty Black Ops like trailer. I remember that, and it's been used on a lot of different like movie spots and things like that. I mean, I like the song. It's like a hard rock. It's like a rap rock song though, but it works. For some reason it worked, and I enjoyed it, even though it sounds so different from anything else he's ever put out before this. I mean,
I do think it's a very weird sounding song. You're absolutely right.
It sounds like Death of Autotune by Jay-Z.
I don't know where that comes from. But
I mean, I think it does.
That comparison.
Wait, say it again. Sorry.
I said I never would have made that comparison.
Well, I mean, it's got that kind of that loud sort of up down sort of beep boom kind of like
okay, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, it doesn't have any real like tempo like a traditional song would,
Yeah, I think it's because it's in like a 3/4 time instead of like 4/4 time.
Right.
So it's like 1 2 3 1 2 3. So he's having to rhyme Cadillacs, yeah, stupid wheels.
Which
yeah.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what. I mean, you've written a lot of songs in your life, but that I feel like writing a 3 versus a 4 is really hard. That's challenging, I think.
It is.
Because you've got to be able to fit enough lines on each bar for it to still rhyme and still fit. So I can't imagine. I mean, maybe he was just really inspired that day, but I can imagine how difficult it was to write that song. A lot of these songs, I sit here and I wonder, what the creative process was behind these. I don't really know much about the behind the scenes of this record. Did this guy go to Europe for this one as well? Like, what was the story about him writing this album? Do you know?
That's the thing. I don't really know much about anything about this record. He had said he was working with Just Blaze. That was the big thing.
Right.
And there are 3 Just Blaze beats on the album, 4 if you count the deluxe bonus track with Slaughterhouse. And There's actually a story, an interesting story, and you can look this up on YouTube. Just Blaze did an interview where he talked about how there was a song that M did for the album that's not on the album. It was actually something that's not been released or leaked. And Just Blaze went to him afterwards and said, "Hey, I think you could have done this a little bit better, or could have done this a little bit better." And M had a fucking blow up and walked out of the studio. And Just Blaze is thinking, "Oh, well, guess I'm fired or whatever." And like later that night, M called him and said, "I listened to that song like a million more times, and I think you're right. You know, we'll go back and change it." So I think that's interesting that because I think that's a big problem with modern Eminem music is he listens to too many yes men. People are willing to tell him, "Oh, well, this is a good idea."
Right.
That
not. Happens to a lot of people. What happened to Vince McMahon? All these guys, bro. Like all these guys have yes men all over them. You know?
Oh yeah. I think if Eminem were to get in the studio with somebody who's willing to tell him the truth about, like, okay, this idea is dope, this beat is dope. Nah, don't use this, don't do that. You know. But Eminem is so big and so has been in the game long enough that he's going to probably feel that he doesn't need to listen to anybody except maybe.
I mean, I feel like Dre was like the mentor for him for the first couple of records there, and now I don't even think now it's more like in many ways Eminem mentors Dre, like Royce's manager said that one time, which not for beats but definitely for rhyming. I mean, I remember when I first heard "I Need a Doctor," dude, that's Eminem's song, bro. Give me a fucking break. That was fucking Eminem's song, dude.
I think there's another song with that recovery pop template that
with the sing songy fucking, you know, and
I think that song is not aged well at all either. So
I think it hasn't aged well because nothing else came out of it. It was like Kush. Like, remember me and RM, not Eminem, and Hamza and everybody used to laugh at Kush because we have Snoop and Dre who are like 45-year-old men trying to be tough. You know, yeah, I like Kush because Kush has a great beat and that flow is nice. It's a nice song, but you just can't take these old men seriously when they talk about smoking blunts in the club, bro. You're old. You got kids now and grandkids. Like, that's the thing that sucks about hip hop now is all the guys from back in the day, like a Nas, a Jay-Z, they're all old now, and there's not really much left to rap about. They can't really rap about going in the hood and shit because they don't really do that shit anymore.
That's true, but I mean, there is definitely a way for them to evolve their content, you know, make grown-up hip-hop.
I agree.
Nas did it with Life is Good, which is probably one of his best albums, period.
Life is Good was great, bro. There's some real gems on that album.
And as for Jay-Z, I thought he would never get back to the, you know, he was more in when he did 444 a few years ago. That's about his it's probably his most introspective album yet. And it's, you know, I never would have thought Jay-Z would go that far and get that introspective about himself, his marriage.
I actually never heard that record to this day, bro.
I think it's definitely worth listening to. I think you would. I mean, that's the only thing I don't like about it is it's got a lot of trap production. But I think you would really enjoy it because I know how you listen to lyrics and I know what you enjoy to get out of music. But getting back to Eminem, I think it can be difficult when, you know, you've been rhyming about the same shit and you don't really have any other places to go, you know, because when you're keep making the same songs over and over again, just with different beats, you know, same subject matter, you're going to get to a point where you're spinning your wheels.
Right.
You have to evolve your sound. And Eminem did it for a little bit on this album.
I agree. Yeah. But when you get to that being wealthy, when you're super wealthy, there's only so much you can talk about. You don't really struggle anymore. I mean, that's why we always talk about how a lot of rappers' first albums, first one or two records are usually their grimiest. You know, Nas, DMX, Jay-Z. Because before you hit the success, you know, you're trying to work your way up. And people always love the underdog story, you know?
That's true. That's true.
So how do you feel about Almost Famous? Because I'm conflicted on this one as well because I don't know how I feel about it, bro. Part of it these things could have been left off the album, but there's some good stuff in there as well.
I think it's an interesting song because he's basically him kind of recounting his rise to fame. So he's talking he's talking about he's got the punchlines in there, and then he's talking about how he lost the Rap Olympics battle or the Scribble Jam battle.
Right.
He didn't say which one, but
in '97.
he talks about you left at Infinite. Now he's back, pissed off, and like someone pissed in his Wheaties, and now his new Slim Shady EP's got the attention of Dre. So it's basically like it's
career
a career
retrospective
history.
Yeah,
and there are some really bad lines on here too. Says
that's why I'm conflicted on it. You're right. Yeah.
It's like, what are some of the bad? Oh, I got one. Trying to think how it went. Get your brains blown out. That's what I call blowing your mind. When I come back like nut on your spine, I'm the thumbtack that you slept on, son. And here I come screaming attack like I just stepped on one. It's very, very awful.
Yeah, but you know what though? Like those punchlines. Here's one thing I will tell you about the generational gap. Those punchlines, even though you and I might think they're corny, people who are like younger than us by the new generation love that kind of shit. Because, dude, I remember, like, I got into a call with a bunch of people who were like in their 20s, and they love that shit, dude. Like, I remember when Nicki Minaj had that beef with Lil' Kim, and I remember she put out, I think it's Remy Ma actually, and Nicki Minaj, and everybody on Twitter was going crazy over.
Oh, she put out when Remy Ma put out Sheether.
Yeah. I forgot what the name of the song was, but I just remember people were telling me about how fire it was, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, it's really not that good. Like you're telling me you're gonna compare this to No Vaseline or Takeover, like, and then also during the Drake beef with Pusha, like Pusha came pretty good on his diss, 2 or 3 pretty fire lines about Dre's children and him. Knocking up a porn star.
I think the story, the fucking him talking about that. I think that's probably. I think there's of all the diss tracks that have come out in the last 10 years or whatever. The only ones that really stand out as ones that would probably stand the test of time are Back to Back by Drake, dissing Meek Mill, Pusha T when he put out the story of what the fuck is Adonis or whatever the fuck it's called about Drake's child, and maybe Kill Shot when Eminem dissed Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah, but even the Eminem Machine Gun Kelly drama was just
I remember when that came out, and I went on Twitter and I said literally the only point, like, it's good, it's a good song, it's a good diss, but he does the same shit LL Cool J does. He raps about his success,
right?
I mean, there are,
But the difference is that Cannabis had second round knockout, which was furiously that nasty towards LL Cool J. But I thought MGK was garbage, bro.
I think, he had some lines, but I tell you what,
I can never take that kid seriously.
I've never been able to take him seriously, but he had some dope lines in there. But I remember when it came out, I put on Facebook, I said, MGK's diss is all right, but I can't take any diss track with an auto-tune hook seriously.
Right.
And people gave me shit for it. And I'm like, whatever.
Well, that's
literally in Eminem's song Kill Shot, literally the only thing that made me go, oh shit, was the very end when he said, the day MGK puts out a hit is the same day Diddy admits he put out the hit that got Pac killed. And I'm like, oh shit.
That was, he really went close on that one, bro.
That was literally the only thing that really like surprised me in that whole thing. Other than that, it's him,
I wonder if Diddy gave him a call after that and was like, yo, man, come on.
Diddy was pissed off.
Yeah, because I remember he was on the Breakfast Club, and I remember he was pissed because during that time, there were actual allegations that he did put the hit out, and he was like, no, I didn't do that, or whatever.
Well, I don't know if Diddy and M have made up for that. But I know he was very pissed off about it.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, because it wasn't just Eminem. There were people coming out about that during that time. I remember that.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, and I remember he was very upset that he was being accused of that. But I mean, yeah, I just hip hop diss tracks have fallen off. Like, you know, it's just not like even the Cypress Hill Common stuff with Ice Cube. Like that was just fucking fire, bro. Like even some of the stuff with the Demigods in the 2000s and LP and all those guys. Like even that stuff was fire. But I don't know, man. Like I agree with you. Pusha T's Adonis song was decent, but oh man, people were acting like it was like one of the best diss tracks ever, and I'm like, I don't know about that. I would say maybe top.
I think it's really good because I mean, it's not like lyrically like on the same level as like say No Vaseline or Ether or Second Round Knockout or anything like that. But I do think it's good for what it is nowadays.
Well, it's personal is what it was. It was a personal diss.
The fact that you were hiding a child and talking about how his mom was gonna like how his mom never remarried, or his like person at the label is like dying of like multiple sclerosis or whatever the fuck he has.
Sclerosis, yeah.
Yeah. Tick tick tick. How much time he got? That man is sick. You know, and it's not like super lyrical, but I'm like, damn. That's like
it was very personal. Yes, it was very personal. I mean, it's like people criticize Jay-Z for talking about the condoms in your baby seat line, but that one was just as bad, bro. I mean, really.
I think so. I definitely think so. But to get back to recovery, I do think you might be able to cut Almost Famous, and it wouldn't have hurt the record. I didn't like Won't Back Down as much as you did. So
it just had a very unique sound. Now I want to talk about some of my favorite songs on the album. Well, first of all, okay. Well, I gotta talk about this song, dude. I want to talk about it in just a minute, but first I want to talk about No Love with Lil Wayne. Was this just Eminem? I mean, it's got the, what is love, baby, don't hurt me. It's got that sample, but do you think that this song was just Eminem trying to piggyback off of Wayne being so hot in 2009, 2010, bro?
I don't necessarily think so. I mean, maybe it's possible, but
I like the song, honestly. But
I love the song. I think it's fucking amazing. Even it has a fucking one of those punchlines. I'm standing on my Monopoly board. That means I'm on top of my game. That's corny, but the whole song, the whole vibe is just so dope. Right. And Wayne's dope on here too. I'm not a Wayne fan, but he kills this shit too.
You're gonna lose a bunch of people now after you said that.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I know. Wayne is good, but he's one of the most overrated rappers possibly ever, bro.
Absolutely.
He's good. I'm not saying he's not. His mixtape game is on point, but he's not. I don't think he's even top 5, bro. Or I don't think he's even top 10.
Yeah, definitely not.
But a lot of people think he is, dude. A lot of people. It's that generational thing, bro. Like they really believe it.
I think he's made his impact, and he's, he definitely is has his legacy, and he's a legend in the game.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not gonna give him top 10 status.
No, I don't think so either. Maybe top 10 of the past 20 years. Maybe that. You know what I mean? Not all the time.
If we're being generous, maybe. But,
yeah. I mean, I would put him there. But okay, so I want to talk about. I mean, there's a couple songs on this album that really resonate with me. We got to talk about "Love the Way You Lie," and we got to talk about "Spacebound." So, "Love the Way You Lie," dude. This was the song that was like the reverse Kim, where he's discussing his actual domestic abuse issues and abusive issues as a husband, as a boyfriend, whatever. And Rihanna's on there, who had experienced that very public abuse that she dealt with, Chris Brown or whatever. And the fact that he got Rihanna on that song was very smart. But the song is really powerful because he's not portraying himself as the babyface here. He's straight up saying he was wrong for what he did. And it's not that he's justifying it. But I mean, the things that he says on the song, that I actually love the window pane punchline. I thought that was great. But
I was gonna get into that. See, because a lot of people made fun of that shit.
No, I love that line. I love it. I mean, that song is very powerful, bro. I would say it's one of the most powerful Eminem songs ever made because this is not like a joke, like a gimmick, like with Kim or 97 Bonnie and Clyde. This is like the real Marshall Mathers, like telling a story about how he really did these awful things and does not feel good about it.
Yeah, it's very it's something that was definitely not expected from Eminem at that point. You know, to come straight out with the fucking the pop chorus, which was written by Skylar Grey.
I mean, she could have sang it too because it was right up her
Well,
alley.
I mean, she sang on the demo. She has a demo version that she did.
I think I've heard that before.
Yeah,
Holly Hafferman or whatever, right?
Yeah, she used to go by Holly Brooke or something like that, and she put out like a demo version of it, just like because it was a whole different song.
Right. I think I've heard it before
on its own.
I think it's on YouTube, right?
It's on YouTube, yes. And then the original version of the song became "Love the Way You Lie" Part 2, which was on Rihanna's album, which had a new Eminem verse.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But,
so what do you think about this song? I love this song, bro. This was.
I'll tell you what. I loved it at first, and I still enjoy it. But holy shit, did it get overplayed? I will, the radio played the fuck out of that song. And I think a lot of people were probably turned off by the fact that it was about Eminem and his domestic abuse problem. A lot of people, I'm sure that triggered a lot of people.
But I mean, it's an honest song, bro. It takes balls to put a song out like that. It takes balls to put a song out like that, bro.
I agree. And you have the beat with the fucking loud ass drums and the acoustic guitar, and then the fucking synthesizers on the hook, and it's a spectacle. It really is. And
the video is also a spectacle, bro. It's powerful.
I agree. My only thing is I just wish Eminem stopped there and didn't try to remake it a million fucking times for the rest of his since then, because at least fucking every album since then, Marshall Mathers LP2, Revival, Kamikaze, and Music to Be Murdered By, all have fucking basically are remakes of that, just with
like
different
clones
sounds. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Clones, bad relationship songs, and M has run that shit into the ground. I think he saw how successful "Love the Way You Lie" was, and
right. But "Love the Way You Lie" I think stands out not just because it's a bad relationship song, but because he really touched on things that really hit home with a lot of people. It's a pop song, but it's so like that song makes you think. It's very thought provoking, that song, and just because you kind of see his side of it, even though you don't agree with it, you see his side of it, but he's not the good guy here at all.
He's not, and it's
Rihanna of all people.
I think that was on purpose. That was definitely done on purpose.
For sure.
Because it's weird because he had shots at Rihanna. Where he's dissing Rihanna on Relapse, at least a couple of different lines. So I thought that was interesting that he completely switched up and put her on the album. And she's been on she's done at least like three or four songs with him since.
Yeah.
She's gone on tour.
I am not a fan of Rihanna at all, bro. But she does come correct on this song.
Oh, absolutely. I think Rihanna is pretty talented. She's very good looking, but
I don't think she's very attractive.
On this song, she definitely came correct. That was.
You sound like you're in an echo right now, bro. Did you move your phone or something?
Sorry.
Okay, now you sound better.
Sorry, my bad. She definitely came correct. She brought the powerhouse vocals, I think, and she killed it. It's very overplayed. And Eminem has tried to recreate it a million times since then. But other than that, it's a great song.
Now, I want to talk about Spacebound. So, look, not only is Spacebound my favorite song on this album, but I've cried to this song. I have listened to this song and literally cried my eyes out. Because I don't think Eminem has ever captured the feeling of how a relationship can go from good to bad in any song but this one in his entire career. This song is powerful. I mean, just the way, and this song tells a story about how the relationship starts out, we touch, I feel the clutch, like that whole, all that shit, like the beginning of when you first go through the honeymoon phase, and then things get bad, and then things get really bad, and the message, I'm a space-bound rocket ship, and your heart's the moon, and I'm aiming right at you. Like, that's some of the most poetic metaphors this man's ever written in his whole career, and I have related to this song in the past. Not so much the abuse parts. I've never domestically abused anybody in my life. But just the idea of how you feel when you first meet someone and you think that they're the one. And you think this is the one you're going to end up being with for the rest of your life. And then things go to shit. And it's your fault and it's their fault. And things start getting worse. And you try to pick up the plane and pick up the nose of the plane and lift it up. And then by the end, you miss them, you want them, but you realize in some ways it may never happen. It was just really, really, like, Spacebound. I can't begin to praise this song. Like I said, it's probably the only Eminem song. Like, I've had Eminem songs give me chills. Like, My Dad's Gone Crazy, that third verse, we talked about it before, how amazing it is. And this song is not really about domestic abuse necessarily. It's
I was going to say, I think a lot of people will say that, oh, well, it's basically, it doesn't need to be on the album because you have Love the Way You Lie. But Love the Way You Lie
a different song.
Love the Way You Lie is completely about domestic abuse.
Right.
Whereas Spacebound only has, I'm trying to stop you from leaving. You ain't going to listen, so fuck it. I'm going to stop you from breathing. So, like, the only abuse is, like, right then in the third verse.
Right. But the whole thing is about how when you fall for somebody and you want them to be there forever, but sometimes you have to let them go because it's not the right time. And it's just... And I know that Eminem was not the only person who wrote this song. I mean, if you look into the history of the song, this guy named Jim Johnson made the song with Eminem. Yeah, and no, not the WWF guy, and Steve McEwen, and it was really these guys that put the song together for Eminem. But, dude, I can't even... And also, I want to ask you, what do you think about this speculation that this song is supposed to be an extended metaphor for Eminem's relationship with hip-hop? I don't see that.
That's I don't know if that's on point. The one that I always heard was this was an extended metaphor for his drug addiction. But
I can see that.
Even that kind of falls apart by the when you get to the third verse.
Right.
But
I mean, it's just, dude, the scene of him shooting himself in the music video, like, this song, I mean, I'm being for real, dude. This song legit is like top 5 Eminem all time, if you ask me, bro. Originally it wasn't, but it's the only song from this. It's the only Eminem song that actually made me cry. Like, I mean, ball, bro.
I think
I've been where he's at before. Shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. When you first hear a song like that, or any kind of song, and you'll think, okay, it's a good song or whatever. But when you really, after you go through a situation like that, you're able to feel a song like that so much more.
Right.
So, you said, and like you said, you've been in that position. I know I've been in that position, having to let somebody go that, is,
you basically build up this future with a person and you think it's going to happen. And it doesn't happen, and it's hard to let go of what you imagined. And we all do it as people. We all do it. I mean, we all do it. It's just
and
really...
No, I'm sorry.
And I was going to say, you can really feel Eminem's vocals here. I mean, this is the best song on the album, if you ask me, bro. Honestly.
Yes. My favorite is Going Through Changes.
That's a good one, too, bro. But, I mean...
It's funny you had mentioned Jim Johnson had produced this. And I think there's a lot of Eminem, like, taking beats from underground artists, like buying the beats from them. Because you can hear, if you go on YouTube, there are different versions of Talking to Myself where somebody else is rapping over it. I can't remember what the guy's name is. And I know the beat for Not Afraid
was originally Mano had that.
Don't forget that fucking Scully Black song that Justice League made for us back in 2004 that they gave to Lil Wayne, bro. Don't forget that little story that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
That fucking Damage is done. The damage is done. They gave that shit to Wayne, bro.
Yeah, and now Justice League is like what? One of the biggest. He was one of the biggest producers of the 2010s because of the shit he did with Ross.
I
Rick
know.
Ross.
And yet these motherfuckers lived. I know exactly the house they used to live at. Maybe next time you come down, I could take you to. If I remember it's still there. I remember the house they lived at, bro. It's mind blowing. It's just kind of mind blowing, bro. They don't remember me, but this would have been many years ago. This was literally like, this is 04, 05. This was 15 years ago. Holy shit, the time flies.
And I'll talk about some songs that I really liked.
No, go for it, bro. We're gonna wrap it up here in a minute. But go for it. Anything, yeah, because we've talked about most of the album, but you have free roam talking about whatever the hell you want.
Cool. Like I said, my favorite song on the album is Going Through Changes. I think it's an adequate follow-up or a great follow-up to Deja Vu from Relapse. And it samples the Black Sabbath song Changes. He talks about his drug addiction. For the first time ever, he addresses the controversy surrounding Proof's death and how it started.
Yes.
I thought that was interesting.
Something else that happened to him during that gap where he was gone for a while.
Yes. He also talked about his overdose and how he recovered and the relationship between him and Kim and how that fell apart. I think it was very, it's probably one of Eminem's most personal songs. And it has a weird, like, run-on sentence rhyme scheme. So it's kind of hard to, but I still think it's probably my favorite song on the album. Trying to think.
I mean, the song is just powerful because, I mean, he even talks about at the very beginning of the song how he's debating on leaving the world. Like, he wants to kill himself and shit. Like the song has stories. He's like, the song is very depressing. He's over here, like, in the mirror, like, I look fat. I hate my reflection. Like, yeah, it's something else, bro. It's something else. And people forget how close he was to Proof, bro.
Speaking of which, that was going to be the other song I mentioned before we wrap up. The Proof tribute, You're Never Over. It's very triumphant. It's, I think he honors him very well. There is some, cheesiness to it, but when he talks about when he was on the operating table in the hospital, like seconds away from death, how it was Proof's ghost telling him that, no, you're not leaving the world or whatever, you're staying here. But it is very triumphant. It's very inspiring. You got the sample from Boys Don't Cry, or from the I can't remember the name of the movie. Shit.
I can't remember the name of the movie either.
It's a Joel Schumacher vampire movie. But
Lost Boys.
Lost Boys, that's it.
Yeah.
No, I said Boys Don't Cry. The name is Cry Little Sister. That's the name of the song.
Right.
My bad.
Yeah,
and the only other thing I was going to bring up was the other Proof tribute that was leaked. A song called Difficult. I guess this was going to be on Relapse. It was probably going to be on Relapse or Relapse 2, but you can see why. It's a great song. Eminem is getting very personal, but you can tell he's very drugged up when you listen to it.
Do you think he should have re-recorded the song?
Well, I mean, he wasn't going to put it out. I think it's way too personal. He slurs his words. He's telling stories about him and Proof. He makes what's funny is he makes a joke, tells a story about how he's like, we never thought about each other's skin colors until there was a story about how it's like hot outside and M's sunburnt and Proof's got his shirt off. He's like, you're gonna fry. He's like, no, I won't. I'm black, stupid. black people, they got melatonin in their skin. So it's obvious he meant to say melanin, but he said melatonin.
People get that mixed up a lot, I've noticed. Melanin and melatonin.
Yes.
People really get that mixed up a lot.
He also tells us stories about, in the third verse, about how he and Proof, like, took paintball guns and would shoot like bums out on the street. You know, the shit that was in 8 Mile, that was based on real life. And of course, then he talks about me, you, and what's his face. I forgot his fucking name. Shame he even came to your funeral. He betrayed our team. And if I see him again, I'm gonna punch him in the fucking face. And that's on that's on Haley J. Whitney Lane and Elena's name. So he's dissing Champtown, because who is a Detroit rap veteran.
Champtown goes all the way back to that's like early 90s shit.
Yeah, I think when the song first leaked, everyone thought he was dissing Royce. But if you know the history, he's talking about Champtown.
Yeah, and plus Royce, by the time that Proof passed away, Royce and Proof had already squashed their issues.
Royce and Proof had squashed their issues, but M and Royce had not.
Right.
So that's why I think a lot of people were thinking it was about...
Yeah, but I'm surprised that Eminem would even mention I guess he didn't say it by name, but I'm surprised he would even mention Champtown, considering how long ago that was.
At this point, yeah. But I think it's a very personal song.
You sound like you're far away now.
I'm sorry. It's a very personal song. It's completely the opposite of You're Never Over. And I think it's an interesting counterbalance. He should have probably still put it out, though, honestly.
I know it's personal, but you got to put that kind of stuff out, because that's like real music, you know what I mean? That's like real music, you know?
Right. I hear you.
Yeah. I mean, overall, do you think Recovery, I mean, the thing about it is, it's got great songs. It's not really an album that I go back and listen to too frequently, but there's enough good songs that I would give it a thumbs up, bro. I mean, I like this record.
Honestly, I still give it a thumbs up. I think I get a lot of shit from some people because I give it a thumbs up, because it has the pop sound. Like an obvious pop sound.
But who cares if the music is good? Who cares?
The songs here are pretty good. I mean, like, most of the songs here are pretty good. I think, and at the same time, Recovery is still miles ahead of the shit he's put out since.
Would you say Recovery is his last great album?
Yes. Absolutely. Marshall Mathers LP2 is... I think
Bad Meets Evil was good, but I mean, again, yeah, Marshall Mathers LP2 was a big letdown, bro. I did not like that record as much as I wanted to.
Yeah, I thought it was okay, but it was, I think it was a disappointment because, again, he used the pop sound that was on Recovery. He's basically taken that sound and tried to take it further. Revival was the pop sound overdone. It was garbage. Came back with a year later, not even a year later, with Kamikaze, basically bitching about how people didn't like Revival for a whole album. So it was better than Revival, but it wasn't very good. And then there was this year when he put out Music to Be Murdered By, which was, it was okay.
When he had the beard and shit.
Yeah, I put it on the same level as Marshall Mathers LP2 to me. It was like 3 stars, maybe. But Recovery,
he'll never make a record as bad as Encore, though, bro.
I don't know, man. Revival was pretty fucking bad.
I never heard Revival, so I actually never heard Revival, bro. Marshall Mathers LP2 was the last album I heard from him. I never even heard Revival.
I would say spare yourself. Never listen to it. The shit is completely garbage.
Well, no, now I want to listen to it because of how bad it is. Because I have a hard time believing it's worse than fuck. I mean, no, Beyonce's on it, and Ed Sheeran, but I have a hard time believing it's worse than fucking than Encore, bro. Because Encore was a fucking dumpster fire.
Here's the thing about Revival. Here's how I put it with Encore and Revival. Okay, Encore, he was on a lot of drugs, and there were at least half the songs where he was like doing fucking like not even caring about what he was making. He was just making bullshit shit like Rain Man, Ass Like That, Big Weenie, My First Single, shit that didn't even matter.
Garbage, bro.
They were like troll songs. They were terrible songs, but they were troll songs. So he was making shit that was bad on purpose.
You think that those songs were bad on purpose?
I think a lot of them are.
But why? Why would he make an album? It's like when people say that See True Hollywood Stories is bad on purpose.
He didn't know what the fuck he was doing. He was on drugs.
I guess, man, but when you say, but is that really on purpose though? I mean, even if you're on drugs, don't you, dude? What about the Beatles being on drugs, putting out Sergeant Pepper and shit? Like that's the opposite.
I think drugs affect people different ways. I mean, it depends on the person.
And plus, I think Eminem was taking harder drugs than the Beatles were.
I don't know about that. I mean, but maybe not. I don't know. Beatles were on shit like
Beatles were on fucking like LSD and fucking weed,
whereas
and heroin. But Eminem was doing pills and shit, bro. Like fuck, like
pills. He was probably snorting coke.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Whereas Revival is him being completely serious, but the songs are still fucking garbage. That album is total fucking dumpster fire.
I mean, I've heard that Revival is supposed to be like a new Recovery. I did hear that.
It is. It basically is. It has my problem with Revival, and I'll do this real quick because I know we're going to wrap up.
Yeah, we'll take your time, bro. We got time.
The first song on there is Walk on Water, right? It's the first single. He basically admits to all his faults as a lyricist and how he's not the same as he used to be. He admits that, and basically, but the rest of the album is him doing the same shit that he admitted was wrong on that song.
It's like he had no self-awareness for what he was saying?
Exactly. That's exactly it. He had no self-awareness, and I think he really tried to go super deep with it because he has songs where he talks about like police brutality and racism, but it's so sloppily done that it's hard to listen to. And if you ever listen to it, you'll know what I'm talking about.
So it's like, so what you're telling me is that it's got good subject matter, but the execution is terrible. That's essentially what you're saying.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
That sucks, man, because I always like good subject matter.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. Well, I mean, then there you go. Then Recovery still stands as being his best album or his last great album. I mean,
I agree.
Like I said, I was very let down by Marshall Mathers LP2. I only heard it once in my entire life, and by that point, I was done with hip hop, bro. Like, by that point, I was done. Like, I was so moved past it. I still listen to older shit, and I still have my classic albums that I'm always gonna love. And I heard your record and things like that. And once in a while, I hear some new talent. But as far as being in the game, like I used to be, where I would fucking download 10, 12 albums a week and wait for the new releases and get all hyped up, like, oh, Mos Def's putting something out. Oh, Eminem's putting something out. Oh, check out this new fucking, Slug and Merce or whatever the fuck. Like, now I just I couldn't give a fuck less anymore, man. It's like the era is over, if you ask me. But that's just me. I mean, I know nowadays there's all these YouTube rappers and mumble rappers and trap rappers. It's just not my style, bro. Like, it's regressed to... I don't want to call it retard rap because a friend of mine said that, but I feel like that we've kind of gotten there,
Right. I feel you. There's definitely good stuff out there, but it's a lot harder to have to look to find it.
Even Drake sucks now, bro. I don't like Drake now at all.
Never been into Drake. But yeah, Drake is fucking terrible now.
No, I mean, look, you can see you never been into him, but the early mixtapes... Huh?
Shit. God damn it.
What the hell is that noise, bro? What?
It's my car. Fuck.
What is happening right here during this recording, folks? This is funny. This is comedic right here. I'm not gonna edit any of this out.
This fucking episode, I'm sure.
No, I'm not cutting this out.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I know you would.
No, I mean, if it was on YouTube, I would, but this is the Geekdom101 podcast. So, okay, what were you saying about, you were saying, I was talking about Drake, how, what's going on over there, man? Yeah, recovery's. What the fuck what are all these noises, bro? What is happening with these noises, bro?
Hold on.
Are we in a droid factory? Is this the droid factory scene from Attack of the Clones? I don't want to edit any of this out because it's funny. This is the droid factory scene from Attack of the Clones. Right here. Are you back? What a calamity. Hey, are you back?
Let's wrap up.
Bro, I can't hear you. I cannot hear you. Can you hear me? Hello? Dude, you're cutting out every 2 seconds.
Shit.
Bro, okay, hello?
Am I there?
Dude, I cannot hear you. Like, you're cutting out every 2 seconds. Where are you?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can. You sound good now.
All right. I was gonna say maybe it's time for us to wrap up.
Well, we are going to wrap up, but I wanted to hear you make your point. All I was going to say was that Drake was fire for a few years, but now he's, like, gained a bunch of weight, and he, like, just, his songs aren't even good anymore. Like, I don't like him anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my point was I never really liked him that much, but, yeah, now he's really bad.
Right. Well, anyways, before we go, man, plug where people can find you at, and we're going to wrap up since you're having freaking a droid invasion going on or some shit. Drones are coming after you now, bro. That's because you said that Lil Wayne ain't that good earlier, bro. That's why they're coming after you now.
All right. You can find me Twitter at MC HEADCASE. The letters MC HEADCASE. That's my Twitter. Same with Instagram, MC HEADCASE. You can listen to my music at mcheadcase.bandcamp.com. Like I said, I have a new album coming. It was supposed to be done this year, but because of COVID, it's not going to be finished by the end of the year. But it's an album with Scotty Royal, and we're going to put the first single out on vinyl within the next 4 to 6 months. So hopefully you will hear new Headcase music at least by April.
The greatest white rapper to ever look at a microphone, bro. That's what they say about you, bro. That you're better than Eminem, bro. Especially now. Yeah. But the problem is that you only drop one hot album every 10-year average, bro. That's the only problem with you, bro. That's the only issue. You want to be respected like a Pac or a J, but only drop an album as often as Dre. Remember the fucking Haystack, bro?
Yeah.
It's too bad those videos got taken down, bros. We used to laugh and laugh and laugh at watching him, bro. Not this 10,000. This 10,000. I got stacks too. Motherfucker, you ain't got as much money as Eminem, you dumbass. Sex offender, motherfucker. All right, well, thanks for being here, Headcase. I appreciate it.
No problem, man.
All right, well, everybody, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you next time on the Geekdom101 podcast. Goodbye.
Bye.